drawing a blank? According to The Athletic, the 76ers' goal is less to trade Ben Simmons and more to acquire Dame Lillard. Dame was asked about the Blazers offseason. Take a listen.
There's a lot of things that are out of my control. When you go into free agency and things like this, you never know what's going to happen. You never know where guys are going to end up and why they go there. You just try to, have conversations and convince guys to, be a part of our team. And obviously, this go round, we didn't, we wasn't able to go out there and just get, some of the guys that we would have liked. And, you go down the list and you go through the guys that you like that are out there that haven't committed to another team or that was a part of your plans in free agency. And you get the ones that, that want to be a part of what you're doing. And I think that's what we did.
Okay, Joy, they were not able to get you to take your talents to Portland, your crossover, your fadeaway, all those explosive plays to the rim. Now that they weren't able to get you, where does Dame Lillard end up? What's fill in the blank for me? What happens next with Dame Lillard?
I think Damian Lillard's future in Portland is unstable. Dame is not an unrestricted free agent until 2025. He's made it pretty clear he'd prefer to stay in Portland. He wants them to make some moves. He's putting some pressure on the organization. Now, we all assumed he wasn't going to come out and do anything explosive or say anything explosive before or during the Olympics to take away the attention from Team USA, which of course makes sense. But now the Olympics are over. They have the gold. What's going to happen next? Well, the teams that were out there, like the Heat and the Knicks, have kind of eliminated themselves. So now, the talk is the 76ers trying to acquire Damian Lillard. Again, we can get into the whole situation with the Sixers and Ben Simmons, and they're obviously trying to get the most that they can for him, as they should. But as far as Dame goes, Dame is really in the driver's seat of the situation because he has to ask for a trade out of there. So we know how they finished the last 5 seasons. They've been bounced in the opening rounds. For a player as the legendary status of Damian Lillard, he has everything else he needs. He's checked every single box except for winning a championship. Now, Dame's brand and energy is not one to necessarily join up with a quote-unquote super team, but he's also aware that you're not going to win a championship if you don't have major pieces added to this roster. We know that because they keep getting bounced in the first rounds despite Dame's greatness. So the situation in Portland is unstable. I do think he is going to end up going somewhere else. Whether it's this season, I don't know what the value for him for that is, to force his way to somewhere that isn't necessarily a contender. I think if he goes to the Sixers and they move Ben Simmons, it's not the best move necessarily for Portland, because does Ben really fit into that? And then he's going to have the added pressure of having to replace Damian Lillard. So maybe this season isn't the right season to force that, but I don't think he's going to end up finishing his career in Portland.
Whew, it's bleak. It's a bleak situation, and I'm not talking Memphis bleak. I'm not talking it's the rock, baby. I'm talking it's cold as a rock. DOA, dead on arrival. Listen, I think in listening to his soundbite, he lets you know his disappointment. Talking about this go-around, I like that because it keeps it open-ended. It gives an opportunity. But listen, Dame Lillard knew that Portland wasn't going to be able to get it done this year for him with the type of players he wanted. Then you start to think about, well, do you have the pieces necessary to be able to stay in Portland in your better years and get closer to that NBA Finals championship round? You've mentioned how they've lost in the playoffs, Joy. I think that is complicated for Dame because he is loyal to the fan base, and I think he really enjoys being a Portland Trailblazer. But I think you also got to be realistic. And if your legacy is in play and you want to be able to get that next level win, it doesn't seem as though that they are attracting the right guys, Chris, to really be able to take that next step in Portland. We heard that they hired a trainer that Dame Lillard is close to in Philadelphia. I've made mention on other shows that Dame Lillard has that AI type of personality and mentality that would fit very well in Philadelphia. I think it's a great match, but in terms of what it is and in Portland, I think it's a bleak situation.
Well, before I fill in the blank, if I'm Cody Zeller and Tony Snell, ouch. The team leader is not that excited about them signing you. So that's not going to be fun walking into that locker room in the fall. But as far as what Lillard's future is in Portland, I say it is up to him. All right, up to him. And obviously he's signed long-term with the Blazers, so he doesn't completely control the situation. But I do believe that if Damian Lillard went to Neil O'Shea, the GM in Portland, and said, look, Neil, we've tried. I'm ready to move on. I'm 31 years old. I'm not getting any younger. I would like you to send me to Philadelphia. Or he might say New York, because he does like the Knicks from what I'm told. So he could control it, I believe, because I believe the Blazers would work with him. Because, look, this is the time. Chauncey Billups is a rookie coach, and if they made a trade, say, for Ben Simmons, that's a fresh start. The expectations are low. You can begin to build around Ben. I really do think you can do that. You put shooters around him. You let him bring up the ball in transition. You let him play in the dunker spot or in the post, in the half-court sets, and have shooters surrounding him. I think that's something Portland could begin to do if they make this move. What I think, though, will happen, because clearly Dame doesn't want to be the bad guy. He also has talked about loyalty, right? Talked about how loyal he is to Portland. He's spoken against super teams, which I do feel like he does feel in his heart like he doesn't really want to join a super team. But look at the landscape. You're beating Brooklyn with what you have. You're beating the Lakers with what you have. So I think what Dame will do, despite all that, is I think he'll give Chauncey Billups a shot. I think he'll go back to Portland this season and give it a try. And some think that by the trade deadline, if things aren't working out, he could be ready to move. I don't think you should put that on the Blazers like that, though, because Chauncey in his first year, the last thing you want is to have the shadow or the cloud of Damian Lillard's future hovering over you for your first few months of your coaching career. So I think if he goes back, there's a good chance he stays there for the entire season. And then if they don't go further in the playoffs, if they don't get close to the NBA Finals, that's when I think next offseason, Dame will talk about going elsewhere, and I think the Blazers will oblige him.
Wow, so it's up to him. All right, let's talk NFL. Baker and the Browns, they were shown a lot of love on Sunday when 40,000 fans showed up for an open practice at First Energy Stadium. Last year,